Okay, so I'm going to show you how to take three basic chords and then alter them very easily to make them other types of chords. So for instance, I'm going to show you how to make seventh chords, major seventh chords, minor chords, and suspended fourths with just a few really easy rules. The one thing that you have to know is how to play an open E chord, an open A chord, and an open D chord. So you need those three chords. Those three chords, each one of them, you use 3 fingers on the strings plus open notes in addition, right? So your E chord, you have 3 fingers on the strings. Your A chord, you have 3 fingers on the strings. Your D as well. Okay, so first let's talk about minor chords. So with each one of those chords, the E, the A, and the D, if you take the finger that's on the thinnest of the 3 strings your fingers are on, if you take the thinnest of those 3 and move it back by 1 fret, the chord becomes a minor chord, okay? So if you're playing a D chord like this, and you take this note, which is the 2nd fret of your 1st string, and move it back 1 fret, and then play the rest of the D chord the way you had it, it becomes a D minor. Same rule applies for A. You take the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, move it to the 1st fret of the 2nd string. You get an A minor. Same thing with an E chord. You've got this 1st fret of your 3rd string, move it to open, which is back by 1 fret. You've got an E minor, okay? Now, let me show you how to make a 7th chord. If you take the middle of those 3 strings and move it back by 2 frets, you get a 7th chord. So if you take your D and take this middle note, which is the 3rd fret of your 2nd string, and move it back to the 1st fret and play the rest of it, the D, the same way, you get a D7. Same thing with the A. Take the middle one, which is the 2nd fret of your 3rd string, move it back by 2, it ends up being open. Play the rest of the A the same way as it was, you end up with an A7. E, take that middle note, move it back 2 frets, it makes it open, you get an E7. Okay? Now, at this point, you can actually begin to combine the two. So for instance, if you want to play a D minor 7, you move the thinnest one back 1 fret to make it minor, and you move the middle one back 2 frets to make it a 7. So you end up with this chord. 1st fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret. A, we move our thinnest back by 1 fret, the middle back by 2 frets, you get an A minor 7. Okay? Same thing with E. Take the thinnest, move it back by 1 fret, the middle back by 2 frets, you end up with 1 finger on it. You end up with the Jack Black chord, right? E minor 7. Okay. Now, we've got a couple other variations that are pretty easy, so I'm going to show you those too. To make a major 7 chord, you move the middle string back by 1 fret. So D, you move this one back by 1 fret, you end up with a bar there. It's a D major 7. A, move that 3rd string note back by 1 fret, you get an A major 7. Take your E, move this 4th string note back by 1 fret, you get an E major 7. Okay? There's one more variation I'll show you. You can get a suspended 4th by taking the thinnest string and moving it up 1 fret. Okay? So raising the pitch by 1 fret. So you get your D. Well, we're going to do this. So now you really don't need this note anymore. D suspended 4. Take your A, move the thinnest note up 1 fret. A suspended 4. You take your E, move it up by 1 fret. E suspended 4. Okay? So for instance, if I wanted to play a D minor with a major 7, I'd move the thinnest string back by 1 fret, move the middle one back by 1 fret. It's a Halloween chord right there. Minor with a major 7. Say I wanted to do an A7 suspended 4. Well, I move the middle one back by 2 frets, so I basically lift it up, and then I take the pinky and move it up by 1 fret. Okay? Cool. And then say I wanted to do an E major 7 suspended 4. Well, I take the middle note, move it back by 1 fret, I have an E major 7, and then I take the thinnest one that has a finger on it and move it up by 1 fret. So I end up with something like this. Now, if you want to know how to then take those shapes and move them up and down the neck using the cage system, check out my next video.